Yep.
7 o'clock. We call this meeting to order. Can I get a motion for the minutes of May 31st, June 6th, and warrants 25, 25P, and CF6?
I'll move.
And our RB4. That's the red board.
Yeah.
5. Excuse me.
Nobody wants to.
Did somebody make a motion?
I'm making a motion that we approve the minutes for May 31, June 6, warrants 25, 25P, CF6, and RB 5.
I'll second that.
Discussion on any of that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Visitors, anybody here to bring up anything other than, that'd be Lou.
Right. You have on your agenda under correspondence a notice of public meeting for June 25th for VTrans I-91 West River Bridge replacement. And I had hoped to and planned on attending that meeting, but I'm not able to because of another commitment. But I think that there's a number of important issues to Dummerston, and the town would do well to identify issues early in this process because it's, well, it's maybe oxymoron, but it's on VTrans fast track, such as they could do. And with construction scheduled, I think, for FY14. Some of the issues that I think are important to Dummerston include both commuter and visitor traffic delays and frustration during construction periods when Route 30 under the bridge will likely be closed. And they're looking at several alternatives, including exotic things like a tunnel, but at least short-term closures at this point seem likely. And Upper Dummerston Road would be the likely detour when Route 30 is closed. So you can imagine what kind of traffic that might be, even if it's for short-term periods, and resident frustration, damage to the road surface, damage to the road bed, all things that might be important to Dummerston.
Hey Lou?
Yeah.
I don't mean to interrupt you.
That's
but
okay.
Are you going to be here for the whole meeting?
No, I wasn't. I was going
to. Oh,
to
you were just going to do
come
this
and go.
then? Okay. All right.
Okay. But I should say that I have put my thoughts on this in an email to you. It's probably not in your inbox yet, or it's out of your inbox yet.
Well, just
okay.
Put it on the very top.
Well, okay. Well, I'll be quick. I only need another 15 seconds.
I thought you were going to say 15 minutes.
I did too. I
There's some secondary impacts that people might not think of right away, but I expect there's also going to be pretty heavy traffic increases on Dummerston roads and bridges, including the Covered Bridge, Green Iron Bridge, East-West Road, Rice Farm Road, Quarry Road, Middle Road, and Route 5 through Dummerston, as drivers look for alternative routes and escape routes when things get backed up. The final thing that I think might be on the radar, there's probably others that other people have, I should say, but Dummerston ought to be looking for a quality design in this bridge because, among other reasons, because of the view from Route 30 and the general scenic qualities of Route 30 as it travels through Dummerston and other West River towns. So I just wanted to hope that you have this on your priority radar list for the coming months, because I think that things will move quickly, and if Dummerston isn't at the table, things are going to be overlooked, and we'll pay for it later. So, and if there's any way that I can help in this process for Dummerston, please let me know.
We did discuss a lot of this at our goals meeting last week.
Oh, good.
And all the points you brought up were exactly the points that we brought up too.
Okay.
So, Zeke?
Right, there was a meeting a couple of months ago that I attended with Lori. We made many of those points and some in addition to what you brought up. And Paul Normando was also there. So it was a good meeting then. And we did discuss it last week also.
And we also brought up with Wyndham Region when we met with them, and I followed up the following day about certainly the alternative route if people are going to seek out the covered bridge as a way around everything. And we've always had that problem with the intersection on the east side, and we wanted to expand that and make it a T intersection. And we have asked Wyndham Region to keep their eyes out if there might be funds available through this project to perhaps accommodate that, because I think that could alleviate some of that choke point there. So yeah, we've got some irons in the fire. So thanks for keeping an eye on it with us, Lou. Let us know if you hear something that you don't think we might have.
Or maybe already have. You piqued my interest when you said the design of the bridge. The bridges they're replacing with essentially the same technology. Do you have something that indicates that maybe they'd be open to something else?
Yes, they're more and more sensitive to issues like this as the old guard switches to the new guard and they move into the 20th century.
We're in the
So-
21st.
Yeah, I know it. We'll work on that next year. But I think there are more open to it, but there's always the cost, the already pre-stressed concrete spans that they can bring in as a cheaper way to go. And of course, money's always a factor, but they are sensitive to design issues, and I think we should be too. Shouldn't hold their feet to the fire on it, along with the other towns.
Thanks a lot, Lou, for that.
Yep.
Highway, Lee, you want to come on up?
I really didn't have a whole lot. I was here to listen about the remodels.
Okay. You have nothing then for us?
No.
All right, let's sit back down. I don't need to
It's under the bills.
He said he's going to come, so if we can skip over the wing walls until we see if Matt shows up, if you don't mind.
Okay, well, let's skip it over and go to the, wait, what's this completion of Highway Risk Road grant? Completion.
That was the letter that
Oh,
was received from the
right,
state.
yeah. Okay, Renault gravel pit. You got anything on that?
Well, the sound study is somewhat delayed again. There's been difficulty with the sound study guy, Hal, coordinating with some of the neighbors for these on-site visits, but he's got the field work pretty much done. Act 250, or April Hensel at the A&R kind of threw a curveball and is saying now that they wanted computer modeling as part of the sound study, which was not part of her original opinion. In fact, it was just the opposite, where they wanted on-site sound studies and not computer modeling when we had the last sound study thing. So Corey is sorting through that. We're not exactly sure if they're going to insist on the computer modeling. If they are, since it's computer modeling, it doesn't require any further field work, and it's something that can be done after we submit the Act 250 application, but it'll have to be completed before the hearing itself, which is probably going to be the last week in July at the earliest now, by the way things are shaping up. The DRB, the zoning permit and the DRB application for conditional use permit and the setback variances on the north and east boundaries. As soon as the Act 250 paperwork was complete, which I thought was going to be today, Steve and I and Charlotte met and went over that, and Corey's all over it. He'll have those are pretty simple applications, so he'll have those completed well within the deadline of July 19th. Charlotte also called today to say that Herb Rest, the chair of the DRB, unexpectedly told her last night at a social event that they are going to postpone their July meeting by a week or two because Herb himself is not going to be there. So we're gonna stay to our deadlines because I have not been, none of us have been formally told that. So we're just gonna assume that the 19th of this month is still the deadline for getting that application in, and then we'll just see how that shapes up. So
At the latest, Tom, it would be the 31st, the fifth Tuesday, the DRB, if they change the meeting.
okay, oh,
So,
good.
and I think you'll hear that pretty quick.
Okay,
They were
good.
checking with everybody today and tomorrow to
Good.
see availability.
Yeah.
So it
And
would be
I
a
don't
little later.
think, since I think the Act 250 hearing is going to be about then as well, I don't think this is going to affect our timeline. In fact, I'm kind of relieved because I'll be here. I'll be back for that. And Claudia, did you have anything, any communication from us? I've heard through Corey that some of the neighbors have been somewhat frustrated with the way the sound study appointments have been going, and I heard frustration in Jeff Unsiker's email that he hadn't been getting materials, which I had in fact sent, and I saw everybody's email addresses on the attachment, so I'm wondering.
Yeah, I don't know why he didn't.
You got that, I assume.
I think I got it, but
Yeah.
I don't know why he didn't get it. I don't know, we had a homeowners meeting last night, and that was at the very end of our agenda to discuss that. Yeah, I think some of the homeowners are frustrated with the way that sound study is progressing, but that's nothing we can bring up. I mean, we can't change anything that they're doing, right?
And we can't either at this point. We got what we got. Corey is going to, he and I discussed this yesterday, he's going to start making individual calls, because Ruth had sent, when we sent the guideline, the operating parameters that we were asking for in Act 250, Ruth said she had some questions and she was going to reach out to a few of the other homeowners, and before she replied, and we asked her for a meeting, and she's never responded to that. And I assume Jeff had sort of taken over for her, but Corey's going to personally call her and you, David, and Steve Casabona, who have been the most, I would say, involved and engaged with us on this, and individually find out exactly where everybody is at. So just so you know to expect that call.
Okay. Yeah, well, Steve Caswell is the one whose property is the most significantly impacted by all of it. I mean, just his general property.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Right.
At the meeting last night, Jeff apparently had gotten a bunch of information together and was, just saying he was passing it on over to Steve, putting in his ballpark, because Jeff and Ruth's house is for sale.
Right.
And,
Right.
So whenever it sells, they're out of there. But
Right.
we'll see.
Right.
He said he would remain involved with the gravel pit group so long as, they were still in proper comments.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we feel confident, as we've stated before, that this is not going to impact Steve or anyone the way that changes have been made.
Right.
That as far as sound, noise, dust, vibration, it's just not going to be an issue. And as once the data is all in one place to demonstrate that, we hope you'll all agree.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest issues is, I guess I'll call it seismic vibration from blasting.
Mm-hmm.
And that Kelly McHugh, who's is sort of opposite of Steve, she's all on ledge. Her
Mm-hmm.
house is on ledge, and so that's
Yeah.
some concern to her. And then where our septic is located and the concern
And
about.
what we need to demonstrate and will is that is not a concern. Whatever, I mean, as an emotional issue, I understand that there's blasting going on 800 feet away, or 1,000 feet away at this point. But what we have proposed to do, which we mentioned at our neighborhood meeting, is when the blasting begins in the Severance pit where it currently is, we will put out a 200-foot monitor radius and measure what the actual vibrations are. And everyone has utter confidence that they will be zero and negligible, which will then demonstrate, because the pit blasting itself at no point gets closer than 400 feet to the property line now. So I think that should alleviate any remaining concerns that blasting is going to be an issue. It just, the nature of that trade now it just is not a problem. And so obviously we haven't adequately demonstrated that to some neighbors, and we'll keep trying.
You have anything, Bruce? 'Cause if you don't, get out of the chair.
Got the updated basic emergency operations plan for 2012. That is, except for a few name changes, the same thing it has been for the last how many number of years. Just need your signature.
Did you see, Rick, when the region handed out this cheat sheet, which I think is all the pretty low-hanging fruit, stuff to avoid in your basic operating manual. Did you see anything like that?
Mm-hmm.
I think that you don't need to see it. I mean, it's. I think this is like for dummies kind of thing.
Oh, let me have a look.
Yeah, pass it down. So the one thing they said, Wyndham Region was the one who pointed out. They said what happens more often than you think is that people just kind of fill in the blanks on that, who's supposed to do what, but they don't bother to tell the people who are supposed to do it that they're supposed to do it. And so then when...
That's how you get volunteers. Right?
Yeah, right. So we like to compare our volunteer list with the people in the cemeteries, just to make sure we cross over, you know.
So this is the report that they said we were lacking when we were
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah, and I emailed Rick that night, and he wrote back the next day and said, I got it, I'll bring it to the meeting. So he was all over it.
Yeah. It's just basically changing some names.
Can I get a motion to sign this basic emergency operation plan?
I move.
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
And this is just a copy of the State of Vermont sub-grant agreement saying we're going to receive and stick within the parameters of the yearly grant we get from Vermont Yankee. Same thing as it has been. Again, just your signature needed.
We did have that.
Yeah.
So I would move that we also sign, or Lewis signs that.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
If you have anything else for me to sign, just sit back down.
That's it.
Okay.
So Rick, can I take these and make copies of them and put them in?
Sure. Yeah, I'll come pick them up and get them up north. And these are just some notes I made for the assistant EMD position. I don't know if you want to do that in open session or not.
Is this like, there's just like a job description?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Did you have, oh wait, before we start asking questions, did you have, what was your order of business here?
No, let's just go right in line with what Rick wants to do on this one.
That last drill?
That was
Or drill?
yeah. That was a mess from the beginning.
It was, and I violated our standing rule that if you're not called, don't show up. But I thought, well, I got to show up to see who doesn't show up.
Yeah, right.
So, so nobody was toned, nobody was called.
No pager notifications went out.
And I, you know, my move aside, I think we should reinforce it on these drills. If we're not called, we should not come. That we're actually enabling a poorly run drill, and they're getting points for something they didn't really do if we show up when we're not called.
I agree. I agree with that. Officially, the unusual event started at 8:12. We didn't know about it until we happened to see it on the disaster room program at 9 o'clock. The couple problems that we didn't have, but the state had. There's 4 ways of communication from the state to our EOC. First is with a VHF radio, second is with the fax machine, third is with the ham radio operator, and the fourth is over the internet with disaster room. 3 out of the 4 weren't working. So we were getting our messages through the ham radio operator. So the redundancies do work. The radio wasn't working. The main repeater that they use was malfunctioning. So if we happen to change channels, we might be able to pick up part of the message. But you're not supposed to have to do that. The fax, they had forgotten to put anybody on the fax machine up at the state EOC. And disaster land that's just always pretty slow to keep up with the pace of things. But the ham radio operator, Racy's, they worked great. Everything came through him, and so we were able to keep up with things.
It's interesting. I read an article recently about an audit they did of Homeland Security plans, like their national plan, and they came to the conclusion that the ham radio operators are probably going to be the only thing standing in the event of a major calamity where grid goes down and that kind of thing. So it's funny that here it is, right? You know?
Yeah, seems like every drill they have, the worse they get. Since I've started anyway. The first one went pretty well, but the other ones communications keep breaking down.
So this is why nobody was notified or anything, because all these original systems were down?
Yeah, their paging system didn't work properly. The radio wasn't working properly. It was just, and I don't know if it's partly because they just moved to their new emergency operations center up there. They were flooded out with Irene, so they had to move. So it sounds like things were still in turmoil from the move. One item they kept repeating was to send people to the Western Reception Center. There is no Western Reception Center, so that caused quite a bit of confusion there too. And they recognize that, and they all that they screwed up. So they're working on it. Hopefully not to happen again. The new VHF radio for the Emergency Operations Center should be installed in the next 4 to 5 weeks. Right now, the one up there is about a quarter the size of this table. The new one will be about that big with a headset, which the ladies in the communication will appreciate because it gets pretty loud in there. Other than that, everything's going well. I believe we came in well under budget. As far as I know, we did. Or did you say we did?
You did. No, I did. That's what I said. You're fine.
That's it. That's all I've got.
And, so this is what you expect of an assistant right here.
Yeah.
Do we have any people that have come forward wanting to be assistants?
Have you talked to Dawn?
I haven't talked to Dawn. I wanted to go through this meeting first. She had in the past wanted to take that position. I haven't spoken to her recently. I figured if this was going to be posted for the general public.
I think that's what did we ever put that in we haven't posted it yet.
No.
We were going to talk to Rick first.
Right, I was waiting
yeah.
until this meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Dawn in a long time. She's around.
Yeah.
So how do we determine the stipend? Is that something that we set before, or it is? Okay.
I think that's what it's been, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no change.
And almost anybody would have to take the EMD's level 1.
Yeah.
Dawn wouldn't have.
She wouldn't have.
Yep, she's got it.
She's already got
already
it.
has it.
She's almost a level 2.
Level 1, that's the basic, like any EMT would have that. Is
Yeah.
that correct?
Yeah, there's level 1, level 2. It's 160 hours roughly of classroom.
Mhm.
And level 1 is 41 hours. And it doesn't have to be done all in 1 year. Some of it is you can do online. Some of it's a 2-hour night classroom. I think the longest one is an 8-hour training course for hazardous waste, which goes through the fire training. So I believe it's a full weekend, I believe.
Getting down to quarterly stipend, I mean, do you think you have enough work for that amount, for them to earn that amount of money, or do you think that that should be lowered or higher, or
I think that's,
fair, or?
I mean, if I can get somebody in there who can, you know, work the computer, and there's plenty of data entry that's coming up with the Dummerston notification system, that'd be a big burden off me, is just to have somebody to do that, and to help out with inventory, or every few months we have reams of paper we have to update the training manuals with. It'd be nice if somebody else could do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think so.
Okay, and the pager carrier also gets a stipend for that too, right?
Right.
So that, on top of that, there would be another.
Well, right now, Larry was the assistant EMD. He received $1,000 quarterly.
Right.
Carol Lynch is the secondary pager carrier, and she had a $1,500 stipend. And it really didn't make sense to me.
That was a quarterly stipend as well?
$1,500 annual.
Yeah, we paid it in 2
$325
payments.
quarterly. But it makes more sense to me to have the assistant be the secondary pager carrier. I don't know why that would have been set up that way.
Because you're primary, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that $1,500 is in this budget with the, that we pay the
Yes.
secondary? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's aside from the stipend for the EMD?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So this would be that on top of it.
Well, did you say we did put this on the
We did
website?
not
Okay.
list it, but we can, now that we have a job description.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it's, you know, as we discussed in the email, is to keep with our new policy, you know, we advertise and see if we have any
Yeah. that makes sense.
incomers.
And I think it would be, you know, I would talk to Don if that's someone that you'd like to.
Yeah, but it makes sense to,
Right, I mean,
to have her at least, you know, apply for it.
Yeah. So, if you'd like to talk to Carl, give her a call and just tell her that we're gonna be posting it, just in case she doesn't see the posting.
Okay, I'll give her a call tomorrow.
But I think we get this on the website. And
I think you're doing a terrific job, Rick. I mean, I just, can't say that. I mean, when I thought, oh my God, we forgot the BOM or whatever that,
Yeah, they do.
the BFD that we didn't do. And
Yeah.
I do love the paperwork.
Yeah, and you're right on it, so I appreciate that.
Sure.
Well, thanks for coming up with this, this is great. Something that we really need for all our positions, job descriptions and stuff.
Especially yours.
Right. Well, thanks a lot, Rick.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time.
Anytime. I'll be in touch.
Thanks, Rick.
See you later.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay.
So we don't need
Is
a
that,
motion.
is that
to-
Batman here anywhere? I mean, God, we're gonna just sitting here.
I was told to come late.
Oh,
Yes, you are.
We raced right past.
oh, that must have been the former chair that told you that. That likes to drag him on a little bit.
I missed the monologue.
I was late. I couldn't do my opening monologue. Matt, join us.
Yes, I'd like to come on up.
And potato. So, Matt's here specifically to talk about this contingency money might be available, so I
Yeah.
thought as sort of prelude to that, we could go over this. Is there an extra one of these that Matt can look at? Is there one out for me and Lori?
Here's one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's one?
There you go, Bill. So, it's a little better than what I showed you last week.
Yeah.
If you look at the cost estimate up there, that's numbers taken directly from our TE grant application, and with a total of $281,300.
Yeah.
And then to the right of that, this is what we've actually, well, if we award the bid to our low bidder, LaRock, where we'll be at. So from the top, the $10,000 project administration is not really a cost, that's an in-kind service contribution, it's just an amount, so that's not an out-of-pocket cost. That's my time and Lori's time. Planning and design, their final bid was lower than the estimate for that. Legal, there was no, we weren't sure at the time of the grant if we were going to have right-of-way issues. We did not, so that saved all of that. Construction, obviously, the 168 was the estimate. It came in at 222,420. Engineering and oversight, V-Trans added that quality assurance program in the interim, which calls for more on-site inspection, and that added $14,000 to the oversight line item.
That's the resident engineer? Someone?
Yeah, well, they were able to negotiate. He doesn't have to be there all the time.
Right.
They were, because it's under 250,000.
Yeah.
They were able to negotiate specific times when they should be there. And then there's the M&W soils testing people who have to be, the soil testing has to be done by an independent certified contractor.
Yeah.
But that was anticipated, so that was what the original 17,000 was, the original 13,000 was for. The contingency, escalation to bid, that was 40,000. That obviously was all used by the low bidder. So on the advice of our engineer, we added a $17,000 contingency for which is 8% of the 222,420. So that's gives us an additional contingency. So all the way to the bottom line, total estimated costs are $305,970, more or less $24,000 over our initial hopes and dreams. The final column is getting into cash flow and cash management. We still owe $88.13 on the planning and design, and all of the other items are yet to be, those expenses are yet to be incurred. So total funds that we'll need to come up with from this date forward are $275,233. And now if you look, skip over that matching funds in kind, that's just the way we broke it out for the grant. It's not really applicable to anything. If you look down revenue and funds on hand, the grant is $200,000. We have $46,000 in our West River Crossing Fund for this. That's leaving a few hundred. These numbers are slightly different from what I showed you last week because I left a few hundred in the crossing fund.
Actually, with the bill that was just paid tonight, that amount should be $44,699.
But that bill was paid to Stevens, correct?
Uh-huh.
So it kind of comes off at $88.13, correct? That was one of our regular payments?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all right, so we take what was the amount again?
$44,699.
What was the amount of the bill?
Oh, you guys have it up there. Hold on a second. 1,885.75.
Okay, so anywhere for the broad strokes for the night, we'll take that amount off of the balance owed and also take it off of the amount in the West River Crossing Fund. It should not change the bottom line of, well, it would. No, it'll equal it out. It all is the same because both those numbers get lower by the same amount. So in any case, total revenue that we have to spend on this is $270,590. Our shortfall is $4,643. So this is where now one of the things we talked about last week is these reimbursements for our in-kind are due now, and we've submitted for the engineering one. So that's where that reimbursements today, $24,590 comes in.
Yeah.
We can submit for, I would think, about half of the in-kind project administration costs. So that would be 80% of $5,000 or $4,000. As soon as, like we can submit that $1,885 bill now as well. So as we go, we're going to be getting, we probably will make up that 43 and not have, if we didn't get any more contingency funds.
Yeah.
we do have the funds, but of course it's more than we had planned on spending. We hadn't anticipated emptying the West River Crossing Fund at the beginning of this project.
Right.
So this is where these contingency funds come in, and I'm glad you came.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, typically, the contingency funding is really based on the fact that most TE grants take at least 2 to 3 years to complete, from award to completion of construction. And that being the case, prices fluctuate to some degree, and VTrans understands that. And so once the project goes through that initial TE application process where it's reviewed and then awarded, they like to carry through or follow through with the project to see that it's completed, instead of just kind of building a sidewalk halfway. They want to see the whole thing, or any type of project. And that being the case, then this contingency money came up a number of years ago as a source for, if it's close enough, if town is under a little bit, then 10% of the original award would be considered. It's not guaranteed, and to make up that little bit of difference. Mm-hmm. Now, that being said, however the numbers work out in the difference, I would recommend applying for whatever the difference is, and not just 10%.
So tell me, there's a lot of...
So right now, it would be, so for example, the original TE award was $200,000, and it would be 10% of that would, under the kind of the columns, it'd be 10%, which would be $20,000. And then the town would have to match that $20,000.
And that's kind of the maximum we'd be able to apply for.
No, well, typically, but my experience with other towns is that VTrans puts that 10% contingency out as like kind of a threshold, but you can just apply for as much as you think or as much as you've shown you need, and the least that could happen would be that they would award the 10%. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the ideal situation would be that they would award 15 or 20% of what you're or whatever you're asking.
Because my feeling, and I'd like to see what the board thinks of this, is the difference in the construction costs are, if you have to add our contingency and escalation to bid in there to the original amount, so that's $208,000. So that is, what is that, $14,420 less than the bid. And then they added this quality assurance program of $14,000 additional costs, which was actually there. That was just them acting unilaterally. So I would think
VTrans would, right, yeah. And that's typically in terms of just having oversight over the original engineer to make sure that all his numbers check out.
Well, I understand.
Well, yeah,
I understand why, but the fact they're applying it to, they're making us pay for something that wasn't even in existence when we budgeted the job.
Yeah.
Seems like that'd be a real happy thing to do. So with that, with those sort of basic numbers, it's like $28,000 that are uncontrolled costs for us that we're not anticipated in any way, even in our contingencies and escalation to bid.
Right.
So I would say that applying for $28,000 would be the logical thing to do, because it's the most supportable.
Yeah, I would, I think as long as those numbers can be shown in a formal request to Sue Scribner, who's the lead, what's her title, at the local transportation facility in VTrans. She's the project manager of the entire local transportation facilities program.
You might have dealt with Sue before or something.
Yeah, I think she got appointed to that position a couple years ago, but she was a project manager for a number of TE projects.
So have you been through one of these before?
Yeah,
How long did it take? How
not
bad is
long,
it?
a week. I mean,
Seriously?
not even a week. I mean, she, you know, if the letter goes out tomorrow, you know, it could be early next week. It's really her call.
Do you have,
It's her call based on what because they do have a contingency fund. So around the state, if no one's asking for any contingency money, then there's a good chance that you might get the full amount. Of course, the towns have to match that.
well, obviously, I mean, they give us,
Still,
20 grand, that's 20 grand, we don't have
Yeah,
to. or
exactly.
We have to match 4,000 of that, is that right?
You would match the 28,000.
Say, so if we get 28,000, we'd have to match 7,000.
Right.
Right, so
Yeah.
if we get 28,000, we'll have 28,000 we didn't have, so I think we, so that'll put 21,000 back in the West River Crossing Fund, which would be
Exactly.
terrific.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep up, Tom. Where's the 28, the 208 was the construction and the contingency. That was a 208, and the 28,000 is,
If you take the bid, 222,420, and subtract 208, there's
Oh, I see.
14,420, I rounded it up.
okay.
And then the additional $14,000
For oversight.
of oversight, yeah, that's what I got.
Okay, thank you.
So it's actually $28,420 is what I would ask for. So if I write this letter to Sue Scribner, should it be just sort of round, just an introductory sort of, this is what our numbers are, or what kind of supporting?
Yeah, well, that's just really stating that in terms of explaining the situation vis-a-vis through the numbers, and saying, here's what the bid came in at, the lowest bid came in at this, here's where we are with what we're requesting based on the numbers. And again, the worst they could do is say, listen, we only have, we can only give you 10% of the original award.
Mhm.
Or, again,
Actually, anything would be
Well,
better
yeah,
than
right.
nothing.
right.
So,
But I mean, I feel pretty confident that you'll get at least that,
Mhm.
going back to the fact that they want to see the project completed. And it's just a matter of right now, how much other requests are coming in,
Mhm.
based on other TE projects, but. So you'll get, I think it's that, if not more.
so can I, what is the actual title of the grant? TE Contingency Grant? Is that
Transportation Enhancement Contingency Fund.
it? Contingency Fund.
Yeah. Just,
Okay. Can I make a motion, I guess?
Yeah.
For the board to write a letter to Sue Scribner for $28,420 from the TE Contingency Fund.
Before you finish that motion, somebody's probably gonna make a friendly motion that you write that letter, so why don't you make it that.
And I will write the letter.
Second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
One piece of news, late breaking news, right after all this got done, and I spent a lot of time getting this request. First, the engineer had to write a recommendation to award the bid, and then we had to write a letter asking permission to award the bid with all the proper attachments. And then V-Trans was going to, Wendy Pelletier, our handler there, was going to contact us by our meeting tonight to tell us that we had permission to award the grant. Well, an hour after I submitted it all, she said, we have a major problem that your low bidder is not pre-qualified on the V-Trans contractor list, which he is. LaRock So right after that, of course, I immediately was on the phone with Brug, what's going on? Brug got on the phone with LaRock, what's going on? He faxed the paperwork through. So long story short, we're going to be fine, except this has happened before. Where she told us before that this contingency fund didn't exist.
Yeah.
And now their list, the list she has doesn't show our contractor on it. So I don't know what that means. What if it's an act of Congress to get his name added to their list or what? Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know what I I could just go on their website. You know, it's funny how the list that she has might even be different from the one that they have on their actual website.
Yeah, so in any case, that's why we don't actually have the permission from the state, but that said, I would like to make a motion that we authorize our chair to sign the award, award the bid, and sign the contract with LaRock when we do get the permission from the state. Because it'll probably happen out of the meeting.
At last meeting?
Well, what we did at last meeting was give me permission to do what I did today,
Okay.
to send that, ask for their permission to award it.
Yeah, we didn't award anything last.
Because we, like we said, we don't really pull the trigger on it until we actually
Sign it
award it.
last week.
Yes.
And we
No,
thought- We thought we'd be able to sign it.
We thought we were gonna have to do
Right.
that, but then we did not make that motion last week to have me sign it.
Okay.
We were going to, but then we had to send that letter up
Yeah,
and.
we moved to have Brud write, he showed us the draft, to have him send the final to me, and then I would send the request
Okay.
for permission.
So you made a motion,
Yes.
I'll second it. Did anyone second it yet?
No.
No.
Discussion? Now you guys don't wanna talk about it. You wanna talk about it before we have a second?
And all those papers, I think they were in that packet, the contract award.
All those in favor?
I was discussing.
You said you didn't wanna discuss it.
Here is the contract notice to award. Did you have this?
Yes.
You do. All right, well, I've got to continue. All right, Matt, thank you. Are you in the office tomorrow?
Yeah.
Can I call you if I need help with this letter?
Yeah. If you want to send me a draft.
Okay, thank you.
Don't run away. If Lewis will allow this, down under unfinished business is discussion of ancient roads, which is fairly brief, but Matt and I had a conversation this morning, as fate would have it, and you put it pretty succinctly, what the responsibility of the town is and the timetable
Yeah.
on this. You want to share that?
Well, it still stands by 2015 that you know, if any roads, even roads that are traveled now are somehow not on the V-Trans map, then they will be discontinued. And so the first step that I'm recommending to towns in terms of their ancient roads process is to actually make sure that those roads that are being traveled right now, and typically they all are, but there's been some anomalies where, from one reason or another, like a class 3 road, or even a town trail or a class 4 road, somehow doesn't make it up to the V-Trans.
So have they changed the scope?
No, it's still pretty much the same.
I thought it was unidentified.
It is. So in terms of like kind of the low-hanging fruit, it's really, you know, it's definitely going and looking and doing the research for the unidentified corridors. But even, you know, during that process, having the V-Trans map and making sure that all the trails, everything that's right now passable and is in use is on that map. Yeah.
And so now the ones that maybe aren't passable but are known and identifiable, like the Pent Road up by Bandit, where people aren't going down it. I mean, it's a four-wheeler trail, but it is a town road, we discovered.
Yeah, so
But I don't believe it's on our town map, though. I don't believe it is.
Yeah. So that would be one that you would want to get on the V-Trans.
Where's that, Tom?
It's up, you know where Bill Bandit's place is?
Yeah.
It's like right up through his dooryard. It just keeps going up toward Newfane. Yeah.
Last mile?
Well, it's good. It comes out on, what's the farm up there that it comes out on? Betterly Farm. It comes out on the Betterly Farm.
So we should involve you probably in this also.
Yeah.
Steve and I.
So our question to
Brook Road is my question mark.
our question to John and Chris when they were here was, do you guys know of any grants available to do the research in our SAFE involved?
Yeah.
Where, you know, all these roads live if they are there, because there's certainly, you know, I said, I think, you know, we had a series of meetings with a lot of the old timers around this a few years ago when this first came up, and everybody pulled out maps and you know, bent their heads around, you know, when they were kids and stories they heard from Grandpa and everything else, and we really didn't come up with anything that
well, those, but I mean, to the point of those stories, they could be used as research to actually for the unidentified corridors. You know, I mean, that having a paper document trail is ideal, but actually having an old timer say that, you know, that I remember utilizing that road for certain services is viable information.
Viable in what way? Just as a lead for research, or we can demonstrate
in terms of that road being identified, you know, as a road that was used and should be put on the V-Trans map.
But we still would have to find a town document saying that.
Not necessarily. Not
Really?
necessarily. Yeah. You could actually utilize that information. I mean, again, ideally, you'd want to try to find some type of paper trail, some type of documentation. But, you know, the real estate agents only go back 40 years, the research only go back. So it's, you know, we're talking 100 years back. So that being the case, it's, you know, the V-Trans and a number of other stakeholders recognize that anecdotal evidence is really something that can be used in place of paper documentation. But any and all documentation would be ideal.
And your question to Matt about funding for doing research, I spoke with John at your office this week, and he was discouraging about that and advocated really for going the route that you're talking about, old timers. And he didn't think there would be money. He also talked and offered me the names of a couple of surveyors and other towns that have gone through this recently: Guilford, Marlborough, Rockingham.
Yeah.
So I have those connections.
Yeah, Rockingham is a good committee. They're very, very committed.
I don't know if we have a surveyor that may have been involved in something like that. That's where we're at.
I don't know if you do. I mean, Malcolm Moore or Eric Morris.
That's what he mentioned.
Yeah, those guys tend to.
DiBernardo and
You're right.
Rockingham.
And there was originally when the statute was passed in I think 09 or 08, there was a small amount of money for what exactly you're talking about. I mean, but it was like, I think 10 towns were awarded $1,500. It was really small. Rockingham was actually one of them, but that was kind of a one-shot deal. I haven't heard of any other additional grants in terms of to put towards research. I can double check.
We had a couple volunteers.
Chet Wendell
Chet,
has volunteered
right.
several times to help.
Well, we should send them, because it seems like either I misunderstood in the beginning on this or something's changed, because what I understood is that, like, just for example, my neighbor, the Millers, you know, they've been farming there for, you know, like 250 years, and Gladys and Dwight both recall the stories that they used to go through the gully where everybody deer hunts between Canoe Brook and Miller Road when they were loaded, because they didn't want to go down that big hill on Green Hoe. So they go through a road, and you can see there's a break in my stone wall. It's right at the bottom of my property. There's a break in my stone wall where it looks like an old wagon road of some kind went through, and it comes out on Canoe Brook just on my side of the brook. And that was a toll bridge at that time. And she says that was commonly used by farmers who were taking produce to market. And but how do so a road is a road, but was it ever a town road? That's the issue, and that's what's involved. Is there ever any mention of that road having been maintained or whatever by the town?
Several years ago, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, please.
So I guess my question is, what does this gain us by identifying that as a road? Or I can think of one down by my place. And I guess what does that gain us by identifying where a road was 200 years ago, but it's
What it does is that it allows the town to preserve that public right of way. And it doesn't have to be actually classified as a road. If it's identified and put on the V-Trans map, the town can actually classify it as a legal town trail. So the town wouldn't have to do any maintenance to that, but the right of way would be preserved.
Could be significant potential.
So, yeah,
It was when we did the Hopkins Road. With the Hopkins Road, going Beaver Pond Road,
Right,
we wanted
yeah.
to switch it around.
Right.
We were running into all kinds of problems until we did some investigating and finding out that that road was actually a town road. It was an old pent road through there. And once we found that out, it changed the whole scope of it. We had the right of way through there. So all we had to do was classify it as, a town road, because it was already our road.
So these are roads that never got thrown up, we're saying.
Right.
The town made an effort to do that quite a number of years ago. And I remember one of them was on my property, Old Town Highway 39, which is a driveway, and it went up behind Flaherty's. And then maybe Blood Road, it could have been called, and it joined onto Middle Road near Tom Johnson's house. It did not come here into the center, as it now does, but that was quite a corner, 90 degree, and another one up where Black Mountain intersects with Town Road 39. But I don't think anything ever came of that, whether these roads were thrown up. I don't know now if Town Highway 39 from the 1930s and before continues to be a town road, or is...
See, and that's what I feel what that is.
Yeah, the vault might.
We stopped looking, because you can go out there and identify that as a road. And we were always told that we're looking for unidentified roads. Worry about your unidentified roads, ones that are thrown up, not thrown up, but are grown up and you can't tell it's a road. Those were the ones that, and back in, I think it was 2008 actually, maybe, that this started, this ancient road. And that's the ones that we were told to go look for, because the identifiable roads, like the Blood Road, where you can see there was a road going down through there at one time. It was, they told us not to really look at those as much as the ones that you couldn't see.
But now you're saying we better claim it if we...
Yeah, I mean, like Blood Road, I mean, if it's obvious, just double checking that that's on the V-Trans map, because if it's obvious here, but it's on the V-Trans map, come 2015.
See,
that's what's changed, I think,
Right.
because that wasn't the case before.
Yeah.
That we'd only lose the ones you couldn't see, that if you could see it,
we had another
you still
day.
had time.
Yeah, it's just double checked, and it probably is, but it's more.
Right.
Now it's if you can see it on the V-Trans map or not.
Well,
That's the bottom line.
But see, that first date, I think, was 2012.
It was, they've kept, I mean, they're having this
Well,
exact same
and
conversation all over
I
the
mean, it's
state.
always the be-all, end-all deadline has always been 2015.
Yeah, and I think that was for all roads.
Right.
That was for all of them. The unidentifiable ones was 2012.
Yeah.
They pushed that back.
Yeah, I think it's
And I thought they
2015
pushed,
now.
yeah, I thought they pushed both of them back. But the 2015 was, I know, was the original for
Was it?
all of them.
Right. I mean, and so just to, I mean, your neighbors to the north, Newfane, have decided to discontinue to throw a ball
Mhm.
and not to. So any right-of-ways, any public right-of-ways that could be preserved are not. And that's,
Do quite a few towns do that, or?
to my knowledge, only them and one town up north, statewide, has done that.
That's interesting.
Not to say that a lot of towns, want to do the research, but the resources aren't there. So they might be in a situation where come 2015,
It just happens.
it just happens.
But I'd hate to be somebody at this table in 2115, and it won't be me, going, where the hell they throw these roads up? I mean, because now we've got this, that, and it just, I'd love to pass options on to,
Right.
future generations rather than roadblocks,
Yeah.
literally.
Yeah. So, I mean, they don't have to be a maintenance burden to the town, to your point. It could be a situation where the right-of-way is just preserved for, whatever, hiking, skiing, or hunting, or whatever. But at least it provides you that option in later years.
as a landowner involved in that, you might not be too keen on all of a
Exactly,
sudden
right.
a hiking trail going across.
Yeah,
Well,
I guess
that's
that's, yeah.
That's what we said at one of the
Well, that's what the
meetings
people in the
was-
best positions to know are probably the least likely to speak up.
Right.
I mean, like the road next to mine, I mean, I wouldn't be thrilled about having a town trail through there, but truth
Put the
is,
toll
people
bridge
go
back
through there
up.
all the time anyway, what difference does it make? So,
Put the toll back
Yeah.
up top. More outside income.
Well, thanks a lot, Matt. Appreciate
Yeah,
your time.
thank you.
thank you, man.
Thank you.
Bill, would you have any interest in sort of, I was sort of heading that up a little bit.
Well, you were, but that last week's meeting, it got thrown to Steve and I.
Oh, they did get formalized,
Yeah.
that's right, and I apologize, I did not write our goals up as I
Happy to
promised I
have
would.
you.
I'd love to pass it off, because obviously I haven't done anything with it in a while, and Mike could use some fresh blood.
Well, I don't know.
I've got some maps
I don't
and
know if we
things.
represent
I
that.
could-
Yeah, maybe stretching it a little.
Okay. Yeah.
Different one.
Correspondence for information. Anybody have anything on there they want to discuss?
Well,
This
yeah,
was
Lou's
one
meeting,
thing.
91. So, that FEMA funds, did I read that right? We got $8,700 more coming?
We got it, we received it.
And does that just go into the general highway fund? Great.
Right, they've got all sorts of money over in that fund.
And this West River Trail's already on here, so.
And you saw the ALT's response to our Rock River thing, they pretty much felt like we did, that we should give it a year. And they weren't about to do anything different, is what it basically said.
I sort of like their letter, so.
And the fellow who was in here, Leonard, he was happy, so that's good.
All right, correspondence for discussion and action. That's from Connecticut River Joint Commission to appoint additional representatives to the fantastic local river.
I was going to call Dan Marks and just ask him, what was involved and if he had any ideas of who might be interested. I don't think there's anyone out there waiting to apply for this position, so.
Yeah, I mean, like they said, they're just saying that we can have more than just one. We can have two.
I thought they were looking for, how about I call him, get some more information?
Dan actually called me and told me I think the way he had gotten the letter was that he was a representative for Vernon or Guilford, I can't remember which one. And he was like, I'm Dummerston's representative and I want to continue to be Dummerston's representative, but on their records, they have him as Vernon or Guilford, so he's got to get that changed to be
Yeah, it must be
Dummerston.
the same people that are writing the radiological.
Yeah.
Disaster plan, yeah.
Yeah, or we have to get Halifax's plan in the event of an emergency.
Right, so, but he did call me and he said, he was still very interested in continuing to do it. But if you'd like to give him a call and
Okay,
just
sure.
ask him
Maybe what we should do is appoint Dan Marks.
he is already appointed. Oh, report appointed for us too. And Vernon or Guilford can keep him too. So, but yes, if you want to give him a call and just ask him, that'd be good. What's involved and who might be interested. All right, request from the school nurse for $300 allocation from the Miller Fund for clothing. Everybody see that?
Yeah.
Did Mary Ann call anyone else with me? She gave me the story. This is a family, single mom, couple kids, 3 kids, I think. She's ill, going through some treatments, and had to stop working. She's been very reluctant all throughout the year to take any of the assistance. In fact, even the free and reduced lunch, she was resistant to enroll in that. She's finally decided that she needs help. She went to Mary Ann because the kids need summer clothes. They don't have any summer clothes for the summer, and she would like to have the solution she came up with was this gift card to Walmart, which that's one way of doing it, but that's what she proposed. And so she called me to ask if it fit within the, the description of what the Miller Fund's looking for. I think that you know, nothing benefits the needy children of Dummerston more than children who don't have clothes on their backs. So I thought, yes, it did, and that she should submit it.
Does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll move we approve it.
I'll second that.
Discussion about it? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Did everybody see Stephen's DRB alternate vacancy?
I'd like to.
Maybe we should have him come in and talk to us.
Sure.
Maybe we'll call him for our next meeting.
Sounds good.
Are you gonna call him, Louis? or-
Yes, I'll give him a call.
All right, great, thanks.
And unfinished business, discussion of special events ordinance. Why is that still on there?
Stephen, I think.
Yeah, Tom and I are gonna get together on it, but we had another issue to get together on this last week, so.
See, I had a eureka moment that I'll tell you about after the meeting. I think I've got a way to get going on this.
Okay.
Oh. All right, discussion of changing the meeting time. I know that we brought this
I
up.
would like to see us make these meetings a whisker earlier, because it seems like we just stand around waiting to come here. You need a motion?
Does anybody want to make a motion to start the meeting at 6 or
I'd like-
6:30?
I'll make a motion that select board meetings start at 6.
I'll second.
Discussion?
So we can have discussions.
You seconded it?
I did.
Well, all right, so 6 or 6:30.
It feels to me like we get home and wait to get here.
Right.
Get
That's
cleaned
what I
up
do.
and.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much cleaning up.
Sure you don't need the extra time afterwards.
And it would be great to get home a little earlier.
It would be.
It would be.
Definitely.
Particularly for me.
Not much of a concern this time of year.
Now,
Some nights.
the planning commission, they were meeting at 5, weren't they? That's,
And then they moved it up to 6, right?
6:30.
Back to 6.
Right,
6:30.
okay, so I was thinking it was the same issue, but no, that was an hour earlier than that.
Yeah.
So 6
Probably, yeah.
o'clock.
Probably for most of us, it would move our dinner time a little.
That's all right. I mean, that's about the time we finish it up, get me out of the dishes.
How's it going for breakfast?
Every other Wednesday.
No, we're all set.
Yeah, Tom, how about your soft? Oh, you guys are set.
Yeah, that's all done.
Although maybe a friendly amendment's in order, because Louis would need to know that if an hour is being logged off at the beginning, it also needs to.
Comes off the end, yeah.
Oh, you got that
I don't
right.
want, okay.
You don't have to tell me that.
All right.
I just have a quick comment. I think it's fine to have it earlier now. I would assume that future boards, if you had a board member or two that was full-time employed and worked until 5 or 5:30, you might consider then changing the meeting date later again. But with this current board, with all of you having a little bit more flexible schedules or earlier schedules, the meeting time works out at 6 or 6:30.
Right, I would think this would hold until the next
Yeah.
town meeting, and then as the board reorganizes, they discuss what time they're going to meet.
Good night, yeah.
As
Yeah.
townspeople, there was some question last week at our meeting whether or not the people in town would be upset by an earlier start, but probably not.
I don't think so, and I think you're flexible enough on your schedule that if somebody really couldn't make it till, 7:30, or, well, if you started at 6 o'clock, if they couldn't make it till 7, I would assume you would accommodate.
Shift the
and
agenda.
Or just have them come late like we
Yeah.
often do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just challenge that we get done our jobs early, because Zeke and I are usually working till
Well,
dark.
I
So
know, Steve, yeah. But you do have the flexibility.
We have
because
some
You're
flexibility,
in
yeah.
control of your own schedules, more or less.
And you were an advocate of this.
I am an advocate of this. Yes, I am.
You gotta get to bed, right, Steve?
That's right.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye. So starting next time.
Start next week, 6 o'clock. Nobody show up at 7. Okay. I think we discussed the ancient roads, right, Bill? Or-
Yeah, we kind of moved on to that before it's quite finished. Lee and I spoke today about the bridge closure, giving notice of the bridge closure for the wing wall project. We're not aware of any, there's no like state statute that says you must give notice, because we closed it when we were doing the running, the planking, and so what I what Lee and I talked about is as soon as we know the date, like as soon as we award the bid and LaRock tells us when he can start, that we should just put the reader board up in the center.
Sure.
And then LaRock's responsible for all the other signage. That's part of his bid, is the signage along 30 and every place else.
Because on the initial engineering bid, didn't it show where all the signs had to go
Yeah.
out at 30, like starting in Brattleboro?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I thought just for our local traffic, we should make sure that people understand when everyone knows it is going to, but it's coming up. Because if it seems, according to Brud, if we award, say this happens tomorrow, we award the bid, LaRock can start Monday if we wanted to. So that's pretty sudden that could happen.
Do you notify at least state police or sheriff or rescue, or who has that responsibility?
Yeah, I did the fire department today
Oh, okay.
and mentioned to them about Rescue Inc.
Thank you.
But I did not do the state police or the sheriff's department. So I can write it on the list.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
So is there any other new business anybody wanted to bring up? Okay, can I get a motion to become the liquor commission?
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Discussion about it? Okay, good.
We have to go through this again?
No, we don't have to go through it again. Can I get a motion?
I move that we approve the Wyndham Wines catered wedding reception at Scott Farm on September 1, 2012.
A second.
Okay, there's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
Abstentions?
Abstentions? 1, 2. Okay. No other business? Anybody need to go into executive session for anything?
If you want an update.
Yeah, I think we should.
It won't take long.
Okay.
Mike's.
You want to make a motion to do that? Or,
I move that we enter executive session
legal
for a
matters?
brief amount of time. Yeah.
A second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll get it.
Yes, you're excused.